Welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. Today, you will notice a very different rocket standing on our launch pad. We are attempting to recreate our Apollo-style craft that I have meticulously put together in sandbox mode in order to recreate those famous missions. Now, I've run into a few problems. One being that I do not have all of the parts that I need in order to build it, so I've had to improvise a bit. Second thing being that I've never had to use it to do science, so in terms of science experiments, that's a little different. The weight is going to be off from what I'm used to. The amount of thrust that I'll be using will be slightly different than I'm used to. And we're going to try something that I've never done before, and that is, if our fuel tolerances hold, we are going to actually try to land on the moon not once, but twice, using a recyclable craft and transferring any necessary experiments back over to the mothership. Our mothership is ready to go with lots of gravity detectors, so hopefully while we are doing our thing on the surface, we'll be able to grab some gravity readings from multiple locations, which will be pretty exciting. That said, let's go ahead and introduce our crew. This is our first mission launching with more than one crew member. We have Jebediah, who has been promoted after 24 days of hard service. Jebediah has been put in charge as mission commander. As such, he will be piloting the mothership. We have also with us Bill and Bob Kerman. Now, we will remember, hopefully we will remember, that we have had some other flights not featuring Jeb, and those flights, of course, were flown by Bob. Bob will therefore, being the second most seasoned man in the program, actually be taking the LEM down to touch down on the lunar surface. This is part of an attempt to make sure that Jeb isn't making everything up. Also, we will be giving Bill here some much needed time and space. That will allow him to hopefully mature and take on greater responsibilities. So, with that said, that out of the way, we are going to be ready for liftoff here, and this ought to be interesting, as launching a new craft always is, especially when it's based similarly on a craft you haven't flown in a while. So, here we go, and we will launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Bob not looking too happy. Bill not happy at all. Jebediah ecstatic. Glad to have some company for once on one of these missions. Although this does of course mean that he's going to have to wear pants for the entire time, and that did take some convincing to get him to agree to that. Ready for the flame out of our first engines. Jettison those. Oh good, the proper engines did jettison. Normally I like to put parachutes on those, but I don't have the aerodynamic nose cone, so I had to kind of build my own, which meant that I didn't want to even risk putting on the extra extra weight. Sorry, I was of course focusing on this overheat thing, making sure that it wasn't going to become a problem. I would expect these rockets to burn out at 11 kilometers, and it looks like we're actually going to last longer than that, meaning that this craft is lighter than my previous craft. Who would have known? Oh, that was foolish. The good news is they were pretty much out of fuel anyhow, but I meant to pitch over and instead jettison to those rockets, but everything went pretty good with that, so we're not going to panic. A much later start to this roll than normal. But that should be okay. We're looking good. Because of the way the fairings in this work, you can actually see that our LEM is securely fastened in the middle of this vehicle. Always terrifying noises. Always, always, always. Actually, that apparently was us. So something awful has happened there. I have no idea what. It looks like our parachutes are still intact. That is going to be a heck of an investigation. We take our eyes off the prize for a second. That debris is going to be a mess. Just curious what happened here. Structural failage between the Rockomax and the jumbo fuel tank. I don't know quite how that would have happened. That's pretty horrific. So a lot of my efforts to not put excess debris hopefully won't be too much of a problem. Hopefully all of that will fall apart or fall back into the ocean, but really trying to figure out what went wrong. We'll go ahead and risk accelerating time. All 3 parachutes have opened. So Bill's first time marked with absolute tragedy. Looks like we even lost a light during that explosion. Very peculiar how that happened. Like I said, not even sure what happened. But that is rough. The Apollo 1 has suffered tragedy again. And luckily the crew survives. We'll go ahead and grab what information we can so that this isn't a total loss. Apparently we can't do seismic scans. So that's it. We get the 1, and we will tow this back to base. We'll look at the footage and figure out what happened, And I guess that's all for this flight, so we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.